Alright, everyone. Thank you for joining me. My name is James. I am the tournament organizer for the Arizona MTG Leagues, and today we have a matchup here for you, the very first league match, feature matchup for our league, our Summer 2021 league. We are having a matchup between Edward Green and Gwenn Godfrey. Ed is on Delverless Delver, and Gwen is on Esper Control. So this should be an interesting matchup, the classic tempo versus control matchup. So far, we have determined the matchup of Ed being on the play, and I just want to give you a quick little synopsis of our league. We are a proxy league. We do allow proxies, and we do have 100% prize support for our league. So we're also sponsored by Gamers Guild, a new addition to the Arizona LGS community. They have been super generous and giving us 4 Modern Horizons 2 collector booster boxes to add to our prize support. Alright, so we're starting off. Ed here, of course, is on the play. Just finished shuffling up. Alright, let's see what's going to happen here. I personally love this matchup. It's an interesting matchup from both perspectives. Ed has to, keep himself keep up a good card advantage, but also make sure that Gwen is not doesn't overextend into Gwen's wraths. Gwen going ahead and showing us her hand. She's doing a good job here. This is a pre-recorded match, by the way. This is not live. All right, Ed's going ahead and mulliganing. He's going to go down to 6. Hopefully we start out with a 6-7 here. So, like I said earlier, Ed is on the play. So again, this should be interesting. Ed definitely wants to, start out fast, start out strong. Probably wants to start out either with a Dragon Rage Channeler or a Ragavan. MH2 kind of birthed this archetype of this sort of pseudo blue-red Delver list that's very, very common in Legacy, but now has made its way into Modern with the introduction of Dragon Rage Channeler, Ragavan. For some folks, Murktide Regent is the way to go. Other people play a more Delirium-heavy package with Luris, but Ed here is going with the Murktide Regent plan. Murktide Regent is just an incredible card. Being able to create a 2-mana 8/8 with evasion is just beyond reasonable for these kinds of decks. Ooh, it's going down to 5. All right, so with this matchup, I think card advantage is definitely a big one for both players. You want to keep those resources high. For Gwen, you definitely want to keep making those land drops. Her removal spells such as Fatal Push, which we did see in the opener for Gwen. Removal spells, counter magic, kind of a turn 1, because she's on the draw, kind of a turn 1 Fatal Push into a turn 2 counter spell, into turn 3, Archmage's Charm, and then start taking over the game from turn 4 onwards with maybe a Jace the Mind Sculptor or a Cryptic Command, which, again, we did see the Cryptic Command in Gwen's hand. Gwen with her awesome triple-sleeved deck. Now, Ed's cards may be a little difficult to see. They are proxied over. He did proxy every card, including basic lands, as well as putting the proxies over the real cards because he didn't have a full list. He wanted to make sure that every card was the same thickness and, kind of follow the league rules on that one. So, all right, so Ed's going down to 5. Let's see if he keeps here. This should be an interesting turn of events, especially with Ed starting at such a massive disadvantage, being at 5. All right, so it looks like he's keeping. Putting a couple cards to the bottom. All right, so Ed's going to start us off here. Let's see what he goes for. Looks like he starts off with Scalding Tarn. Passes the turn. Gwen goes to her draw step. Gwen starts off with a Flooded Strain and passes back. Ed fetches. Yeah, as you can see, he does have some black and white cards here, and he proxied Steam Vents over Steam Vents, which is always amusing. All right, so Ed brings it in untapped, going down to 17. Let's see what he's going to do with this card. By the way, I want to thank everyone here for joining us. appreciate you guys. Alright, Ed Thought Scours, targets himself, mills over a Dragon Rage Channeler and another land, draws off the Thought Scour. Awesome. Not a strong start for Ed, but definitely, you know, gets to sculpt his hand a little bit, fuel the Murktide Regent. Hopefully that he will play. Alright, starts off with the Scalding Tarn. With the absence of Path to Exile in the format, Murktide Regent just gets even stronger. Like, it dodges Prismatic Ending completely, it dodges Fatal Push, it's, you know, Delve Cost definitely, you know, helps with that in these kind of tempo-y, mid-rangey matchups. Alright, looks like Ed actually has the 2 blue sources and the 5 cards for 4/4 Murktide Regent. Probably not the strongest play from him, but maybe does something here. Oh, dashes out a Ragavan. Yep, Ragavan being able to... Oh, I was going to say Ragavan getting real strong here, but Gwenn coming in with that Fatal Push. That early interaction, we did see that in her hand. That early interaction to deal with the Ragavans is very, very good, especially from Gwenn's side. She has to kind of keep that board under control. Alright, looks like Ed is going to pass here after his combat step. Alright, Gwenn going in and going, I believe that's a polluted Delta. Yeah, that's a Delta. Goes ahead and plays that. Alright, what is Ed going to do here? Looks like he drew a Dragon Rage Channeler. Yeah. Alright, go ahead. Hopefully he has an instant or sorcery. Yep, Serum Visions, raw off the top. Gets that Surveil trigger off of the Dragon Rage Channeler. Yep, of course. Good on Ed, remembering that trigger. Believe me you when I tell you, I missed that trigger so many times. First time playing Dragon Rage Channeler in a tournament. I played it in the local City Champs at Phoenix Gaming Lounge. Another fantastic LGS. Alright, so it looks like Ed kept the Surveil on top, drew off of the Serum Visions, bottoms both, and passes back to Gwenn. He might be digging for a land here. Oh, no, he had the land. He had a Spire Bluff Canal. Alright, so looks like Gwenn starts off with an Opt, scries the top, and draws off the Opt. Looks like she drew a Fatal Push. That could be really interesting. Alright, fetches up. Now, Gwenn may have a another Watery Grave. That would be definitely interesting to get off of this. She does need to keep the blue for things like Archmage's Charm. Ooh, okay, so she gets a Regarin Triumph. That definitely is interesting. She's not being mana efficient here. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and get the deck lists up. Alright, moving on to Gwenn's turn. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like Gwenn, I believe, only has 1. Alright, Watery Grave. Fatal pushes the Dragon Rage's Channeler. Not bad, not bad. Goes back to Ed's turn. Ed is playing 4 Mishra's Bauble, so getting Delirium for future Dragon Rage Channelers shouldn't be hard. Alright, starts off with a, believe that is a Expressive Iteration. Extremely powerful card for this archetype. Really in Modern and in Legacy. Like, just looking at 3 cards, kind of getting the pseudo divination, what is it? Not impulse. The 2-mana instant that lets you look at the top 3. Just that card selection, the ability to draw 2 cards. Now, Ed did not play a land so far, so if this does resolve, Ed does get that land drop. But ooh, Counterspell. Nice Counterspell from Gwenn. Fantastic art. I believe that's the Portal 3 Kingdoms art. Ed starts out, or Gwenn plays a Zagoth Triumph, or Sultai Triumph if you're old school like me. Alright, so Ed goes back to his turn. Another Expressive Iteration. Again, really strong card. Really get that card selection. Alright, looks like this one resolves. Excuse me, folks. Bit of a dry throat here. I'm going to let Ed do his thing. Alright, looks like Ed exiled a Fiery Islet. Not sure what he put in his hand. Passed back to Gwenn. Alright, Gwenn misses a land drop and passes back to Ed. Ed going in. Looks like he's going for another expressive iteration. Wow. A third expressive iteration? Jeez. Again, that immense amount of card selection is just so good for this tempo deck. The game, I think, is a little swinging in Gwenn's favor. It's been going long. Ed does not have a threat. Gwenn's only damage that she's taken is from her fetch lands. So, I believe Gwenn is at 16. It looks like Ed tapping 2. Oh, so the expressive iteration was a bait spell. So it looks like he's going to play at least a 5/5, 6/6, 7/7. Alright, let's see if he's going to go for the full 8/8. I think he has one expressive iteration still in the graveyard. I think he's deciding here if he should go for that expressive iteration or not. Looks like he isn't. He's keeping one iteration in the graveyard, so is he rethinking? Might be rethinking this one. Oh, he is. Alright, so Dragon Rage Channeler will be an 8/8, so huge clock on Gwenn's part. So problem is with this card is, again, it dodges Prismatic Ending, it dodges Fatal Push, it dodges Lightning Bolt, it dodges a lot of removal spells that are not common in the format, or all the common removal spells, and Gwenn does not have Path to Exile, but it does look like she has an answer when it's Kaya's Guile, I see kind of poking out in her hand. Looks like Ed has one card in hand and one open mana. All right, Kaya's Guile. Looks like she's going to have him sack a creature and exile the graveyard. Or no, not exile the graveyard. Is that gain 4? I think it might be gain 4, just to kind of buff her life total here. All right, dashing out of Ragavan. Again, a really strong card here. Hopefully, we'll connect, try to get some card advantage. Seeing what we can do here. All right, gets a Plains. So definitely not a counterspell coming off from Gwenn, but definitely something. Looks like she does have some sort of response. Okay, starting off with a Snapcaster Mage. I believe that's an Innistrad foil. Beautiful card from Gwenn. Ooh. I believe it's an Unholy Heat. Oh, okay. So the Kaya's Guile did exile the graveyard. Ed just didn't throw it in. Looks like Ragavan hits for 2 and puts a Snapcaster Mage on the battlefield with the treasure and the island. So not too bad. All right. So Gwenn's gonna go ahead. Miss another land drop, but just passes back. Looks like she drew an Archmage's Charm. It's probably going to dash out his Ragavan. Not bad. Ooh. Counter Bounce. And Force Negation counters the Cryptic Command. Alright, so it looks like we have quite a game going on here. 4 damage coming across. Alright, just flips the land. Not too bad. Ragavan, of course, bouncing back to hand due to dash. Has a treasure token. Alright, Jace the Mind Sculptor from Gwenn. Not too shabby. Bounces her Snapcaster back to hand. Ed, of course, only having the one card in hand, which is the Ragavan. Now, Ragavan does not trigger when hitting Planeswalkers. That's super important that people sometimes miss. He is good at dealing with walkers just because of that haste aspect, but does not trigger. So that Jace the Mind Sculptor will die, but he will not get the treasure or the card off of Gwenn's deck. So plays a Dragon Rage Channeler, dash, of course, putting it back in hand, dodging a sweeper like a Supreme Verdict. Ed does not have Delirium, so Dragon Rage Channeler just being a 1/1 for right now. Can block, which is nice. Looks like Gwenn does have a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria in hand. Alright. Believe Gwenn is going to tick up here to keep the Teferi around. Oh, looks like Ed was digging for a counter spell of some description. Don't think Force Negation would have done it here. He does have a Spell Pierce in the main deck, which is technically able to counter the Teferi. Looks like he did draw a Lightning Bolt, though. On the end step is going to do that. Looks like Ed still doesn't have Delirium. Looks like instant creature of land, Fiery Islet, Ragavan, and Lightning Bolt, kind of giving that away. So it's interesting what he's going to do here. Is he going to dash in the Ragavan, kill the Teferi? Possibly. He might kill the Teferi with like a Lightning Bolt. I'm not sure what he drew for turn. Looks like Ed's really thinking about what he's doing here. I think the obvious is to dash out that Ragavan. Counter from Gwenn, but counter the counter from Ed. He's going to Surveil off of that. If he throws a sorcery in the graveyard, he can... Okay, so no Delirium. Gwenn does take 1. Goes down. Alright, so it looks like Gwenn drew an Archmage's Charm, I believe. So she does have a way of generating some card advantage. She is going to steal the Dragon Rage's Channeler on Ed's turn after it untaps. That way she has a blocker for Ragavan. Very smart. And it looks like Gwenn does have Delirium. I believe instant sorcery, land, Planeswalker, Pierce. So Ed just takes the Ragavan. Gwenn did steal it in his upkeep, so she did have the untapped land. Ooh. An Archmage's Charm to steal it, but doesn't have any counterspell. Thankfully, Ed is able to counter the counter. Snapcaster Mage, most likely for that Fatal Push that was real early in the game. Yep, there's that Fatal Push. Comes out with a Snapcaster. Gwenn getting in for 3, I believe. Comes back. Fortunately, I didn't have a life pad out, so apologize for the lack of life totals here. Looks like Gwenn is just taking over this game. 5 power on board. More cards in hand than Ed. I did spy a Cryptic Command. Looks like an Expressive Iteration coming down for Ed. Will Gwenn let this resolve? She does. Alright, what does Ed choose here? Does reveal Gwenn does reveal a Fatal Push and a Cryptic Command. Alright, reveals a Steam Vents, puts a card in hand, card on bottom. Looks like plays the Steam Vents tapped for turn. Passes back. Untaps. Oh, it looks like she has a Dam. Okay, so she has a Dam in hand in a Cryptic Command, and then drew a Polluted Delta for turn. So Gwenn having a fantastic utility card in Dam. I found that card phenomenal for Esper Control. Really kind of puts Esper Control over the top. Alright, looks like Ed scoops it up here. First game going to Gwenn. Good job, Gwenn. Showing people how to play Control. Showing people how it's done. You know, Ed didn't have the strongest start. That Mold of 5 was probably the death knell for this deck. With tempo decks like this, you really need to kind of keep up that pressure in the early game, and Ed just really didn't have it. But also, he needed that card advantage against Gwenn. You know, we are going to sideboard. Looks like Ed is... Ed probably has a few cards. In his sideboard, he has 2 Dispel, a Spell Pierce, 3 Ether Gust, 2 Hurkyl's Recall, a Subtlety, 2 Abrade, 2 Engineered Explosives, and 2 Soul Guide Lantern. So personally, I think Ed definitely brings in the Dispel and the Spell Pierce. He might want to bring in the Soul Guide Lantern to stop the Snapcaster mages, but that might be overboarding. 2 Dispel and a Spell Pierce, probably perfect for what he needs. There isn't any real artifacts in Gwenn's deck. These are open deck lists, so both players do know each other's sideboards. Of course, what they sideboard exactly and what they bring in, take out, all that stuff. So Gwenn, for her sideboarding, she does have a Stoneforge package with 3 Stoneforge Mystics, a Cauldron Complete, which is pretty good. Gwenn also does have a Teferi Time Raveler, a Timely Reinforcements, Force of Negation, Ether Gust, Dovin's Veto, Thoughtseize, Supreme Verdict, Prismatic Ending, and Ensnaring Bridge. So I really think that Gwenn's idea here would probably bring in the Stoneforge package. She does only bring in 4 cards with that. Maybe the Teferi to kind of beat that counter war. Really gain that advantage. Teferi, Time Raveler, of course, being an incredible tempo play against cards like Murktide Regent and Dragon Rage's Channeler. It does definitely present that. Timely Reinforcements does clog up the ground. However, if Ed kind of has his way, he is attacking with flyers with Dragon Rage's Channeler and Murktide Regent. So Timely Reinforcements does stop Ragavan, but Ragavan is usually a turn 1 play, so not the best, in my opinion. Stoneforge Mystic, probably the best card for Gwenn here. Force Negation I could see coming in. And Dovin's Veto, of course, being a fantastic way of stopping things like Dispel, Counterspell, things like that. Force Negation, just an easy, clean answer for her deck. Personally, I think just the Stoneforge package and maybe the Teferi Time Ravelers is really what you need in this matchup. I don't remember exactly what Gwenn brings in. I think she brings in exactly what I mentioned here. For Ed, again, I mentioned the Dispels, the Spell Pierce. If he's suspecting a Stoneforge package, he'll bring in the Abrades, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't. Most likely, if there's a game 3, he'd bring in the Abrades after seeing the Stoneforge, should he see a Stoneforge package. It's definitely not revealed, obviously, what exactly they're going to bring in, but I believe Gwenn just brings in the Stoneforges and Teferis, which, in my opinion, is exactly where you want to be. Exactly, keep your control game plans strong, but also bring in that really fast clock of Cauldron. Cauldron being just this incredible card from MH2 for control decks. Just really able to put a clock on both opposing control decks, tempo decks, and really just having this phenomenal, resilience to red base removal spells, and also just cards like Kolagon's Command. Yeah, I saw that Teferi Time Raveler in here. So I think she brings in the Stoneforge package and the Teferi Time Ravelers here. She's really, really strong cards to bring in. Kind of beating Ed at his own game with that tempo advantage. Teferi Time Raveler. Cauldron just being this, easy way to keep other cards in check. Cauldron, I would like everyone to remember, does basically beat every creature in combat with the indestructibility, but also the ability to just exile the a creature deals combat damage to, and of course it has having first strike. So not too bad here. Alright, so players are shuffling up. Hopefully we don't have a multi 5 from either player. Go ahead and get my notes here. Alright, looks like both players kept 7. Ed goes in with a Steam Vents and Ragavan. Gwenn is going to go ahead to her turn. So big advantage that the Legacy deck Blue-Red Delver has over the modern version is Daze. For those who don't know, Daze is a 2-mana instant that allows you to return an island to your hand instead of paying its mana cost, and it's basically a Force Spike. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. In this instance, if Ed had Daze, he could have kept that Ragavan alive. But no worries, as Ed has another Ragavan and starts us off. Ooh, keeps a one-lander. So Gwenn is going to start with a Glacial Fortress and Prismatic Endings, the second Ragavan. So keeping pace with Ed definitely is strong for Gwenn's part. Let's see here. Ed starts off with a Thought Scour, mills a Spirebluff Canal, and looks like a Scalding Tarn. So 2 lands. Ooh, misses that crucial second land drop. With Gwenn kind of playing another Glacial Fortress. Looks like she's going to play a Stoneforge Mystic. Ooh, pretty borderless Stoneforge Mystic. Alright, looks like she's going to go ahead and find her Cauldron. Yep, there it is. Cauldron complete. And just passes back to Ed. Ed finding that second land in a Scalding Tarn. Believe probably going to get a Shock Land here. Yep, gets a Steam Vents. Definitely want that double blue for future counter spells. Probably wants to cast an Unholy Heat to deal with the Stoneforge Mystic. He's probably hoping Gwenn doesn't have any Force Negations or anything like that. Alright, plays a Dragon Rage Channeler. Hopefully Ed has an Unholy Heat here. Get some value off the Dragon Rage Channeler and deal with the Stoneforge Mystic. Oh, looks like he passes. So Gwenn untaps with the Stoneforge. That's definitely not good for Ed here. Activating the Stoneforge, putting Cauldron into play. Oof. This is definitely a quick clock. Gwenn going in with that Cauldron. Technically, that Germ is tapped. I don't think it matters. I believe it was Cauldron complete that was put into play. And Ed scoops it up. Alright, well that was match 1 of our league. Our first feature match here. Yeah, it was a Cauldron, so that Germ would have been tapped. But it really did not matter. Ed was so far behind. Missing land drops, playing the into the Cauldron. You know, it's so hard for someone like Ed with only red-based removal spells. Alright, so it looks like Gwenn is brought in the Stoneforge package. She also brought in a Supreme Verdict. So, and a Dovin. Wow, Gwenn really sideboarded here. Two Teferi, Hero of Dominar, or sorry, Teferi Time Raveler, my apologies. A Dovin's Veto, 3 Stoneforge Mystics, a Supreme Verdict, and a Cauldron complete. Yeah, definitely big sideboarding from Gwenn. She had a lot of sideboarding. I didn't really think the Supreme Verdict would have come in, but I do understand why Gwenn did that. You know, if you have a Murktide Regent, or if Ed has a Murktide Regent on board, it can very easily race the Cauldron complete. Looks like she took out 2 Snapcaster Mages. I believe those are Fatal Pushes, if I remember correctly. I forget which ones those are. 2 Esper Charms, a Cryptic Command, and a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Yeah, definitely just some late game stuff. Ed brought in the 2 Dispels and the Spell Pierce, just like I mentioned. It took out Lightning Bolts and an Unholy Heat. So probably didn't expect the Stoneforge package. I'm more than positive that Ed would have kept those removal spells in if he suspected a Stoneforge package. Unfortunately, that did not pay off for Ed, taking out those red removal spells to deal with the Stoneforge Mystic. Well, everyone, I really hope you guys did enjoy this. Again, thank you to Gamers Guild. We are sponsored by them with their generous donation into our prize support. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and reach out to me. My name is James Zawislak. You guys can reach out to me on Facebook. Join our league. While the admission for this league is closed, our next league should start relatively soon after this one is. I can't wait to bring you the next league matchup. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.